Hella cats, they said podcast, the podcast for energy. For energy, podcast for energy. Hella cats, they said podcast, ain't gonna be fair, no hold back. Energy, planted by the rivers is a bull. Hella cats are gonna show you the way. Podcast for the people, we fly high with energy. Society and the remedy. Hellacast, community, reality, we stick it together as a nation. Hellacast, passion, podcast for fashion. We do it now with the real youth who knows the deal.
Welcome to Energy Podcast. You know where you at. After the whole year, we've been taking a laxed, kind of a chillaxation, you know, handle other stuff, you know, like sometimes you gotta do things, you know. Things have to happen for things to do other things to happen, you see, something like that. So we're back now. We're back in action. And I was asking like, hey, what are we gonna talk about today? Like in December, so I don't know. Let's talk about December. So yeah, in December, I don't know. There's I think recently we've seen in the news, since we are talking about energy, we've seen the Eskom putting the prices going up, you know. So but maybe I think we can discuss that one. What you think?
Hey, I think let's definitely discuss that one with the heat wave going on. You know, everything is just going up, and it would be interesting to hear views about, you know, how people actually feel about these things. I think we should actually even have an open sort of session where we ask people, you know, how this whole electricity hike is actually affecting their pockets.
Yeah.
You know,
Please call, ne?
Yes.
And then we'll try and sort this thing out with the you know, Eskom people there.
It's quite
the connection.
The connection. We'll make sure that there's connection, so that there's no loot. What? They
we don't want
that one.
to come back.
The electricity is loaded.
The forbidden word now.
So it will be interesting to see, because now when you're sitting in the house, you're thinking about cracking your fan open, but at the same time you're thinking, this electricity is going
too
up.
much.
So what do you do? So I'm thinking let's definitely have a discussion around that. It should be interesting.
That's the topic for today, electricity hikes. So gents, I think what I read was something like, there's a proposal that Eskom submitted. You know, submit a tender, you coin somewhere in whatever company, and then they look. So apparently with Eskom, they submit to NERSA, National Energy Regulator of South Africa, right? Yeah. And then they submit their proposal there to increase electricity prices. So I suppose that's the main crux of it. And perhaps maybe we need to maybe dissect why are they actually submitting these proposals hikes. That could be one way or the other. After December, you know, you have to have the money. So Eskom is making sure that they've got money, so that December,
they can enjoy
it. I mean, Cool Cat says it, you know. I work throughout the year and only rest in December, you know, spend. Okay, but anyway, we need to make sure that there's electricity in December, and I guess maybe that's why Eskom is looking for these electricity hikes. So I don't know what your view is on these hikes. I think the first hike, I think it's something like 30%. I don't know if I read them properly. I think it's over 3 years. There's increase in hikes or electricity tariffs. So a tariff is like what you pay per unit of energy that you receive, something like that. So that there's a percentage that Eskom is asking for, has made an application to NERSA. So what's your view, man?
I think it's a very thorny issue now, because I think most households really feel the pinch now when you have to buy electricity. Now we are hearing there's some 36% upwards increase of electricity. Then just thinking now, now that I'm getting full-time electricity, it's like you are paying for that full-time electricity now. You see. So,
True.
So, but I think also, again, on the flip side, it's also business sustainability. Also, that's something to consider. That every time inflation, things go up.
Yeah.
So even with electricity, the utility has to analyze its business sustainability to an extent and make adjustments to make sure that
they're
tomorrow
sustainable,
you have that electricity.
Yeah.
Because that's the other problem. And I think for us as a country also, we know very well the dark past that for having electricity half of the day. Or sometimes not at all. So I think just on the weighing of options, there's always that consideration that one, is it justifiable? And if I go to the street and ask someone if it's justifiable, 90% of the people will definitely say no because of the reputation maybe or the track record of the utility. I mean, for so many years we've had a load shedding. So when someone comes now and says, I want more money, then the question is to do what? You've been failing for so long. You see?
You haven't been giving us that electricity anyway. And you just hold in that word, but maybe it's a topic for another day. I think we know, just do it. But these days we've got just energy jet, and then there's Jetor. so this thing is a very good word. I think we kind of need to maybe understand that and who is it justifiable to? Is it the person who's paying, or is it Eskom, or is it government? Because I think Eskom has been kind of, like you were saying, not really delivering on electricity side of things, and one could say maybe either it's maintenance or what, or lack of generation in capacity and all of that. And maybe we'll get to the terms one day, the capacity factor, all those things, but I think the point is, they Eskom, I think they've not really, how do I say it, maybe managed the situation quite well. If let's say you are saying you want to increase electricity price by that percentage, and of course all of us depend on electricity, then the point that you raised, is it justifiable? Perhaps to Eskom, because they are saying they want it to be a kind of what they spend is what they are able to recoup in terms of what they sell as electricity. So that situation, and it's like even me, if I have a spaza shop, I mean, I should be able to include Niana Cheletea. No, maybe spaza shop is a wrong example, but
especially but
so
it's a business.
No pun intended. Sorry about that. That's a sensitive matter.
When you talk about that, just get a knock on your door.
You can't buy electricity at spaza shop.
Otherwise,
you can.
You actually can. I've heard stories of supposed vendors who. Vendors, VEND.
I think you need to. There's pronunciation vendors.
So I've heard stories where there were some ghost vendors who were selling people, fake tokens for electricity, and maybe that's something we need to get into at some point as well, because I believe it's part of it that's actually making people, and you touched on it. Deem the utility as Eskom as being a bit unreliable in terms of their delivery on the basic electricity need for the people. But you guys are saying things that are very interesting, and I think we should, for the men in the street there, especially with regards to the proposal for Eskom to have their prices increase like that. I saw somewhere that this thing, you're saying 36% now, but I see that over the 3 years it's actually going to be 50%.
It's partitioned over 3 years. So I think it's 36, 11 and something, 13 or something there.
So I'm thinking, when in the grander scheme of things, looking at the fact that even in the past, like now as recently as 2023, I think electricity went up by what? my 80%, if I'm not, if I'm not mistaken.
It was significant.
It was quite significant. Can be corrected on the number. But now there's a plus 30% hike as well. And for the person in the street, when you're looking at factors such as inflation and the fact that, since COVID and long actually before that, people have really got hit hard in their pockets. How that plays a role, while government is also saying we should promote for people to actually start small scale type of businesses, but these businesses to produce,
you need electricity,
they need electricity, right? So how do you balance all of that? And I get that, for Eskom as an entity, it's a question of, again, Buddha said it, being sustainable and being able to recoup the money is owed out there. But the reality of the situation also is the fact that regardless of at what price Eskom is selling us electricity, when you're looking at the municipalities and what they do, which is the biggest distributor of this electricity, municipalities have leeway. The law actually allows for them to add markup. So such things, how they impact on the men in the street as well.
Is it justifiable?
Is it justifiable when the people, all they see is unreliability in what you are delivering as well?
True.
I think it's a very important topic that we're having.
This actually ties in with what Eskom probably is moving towards. I hear that from maybe the explanations that's given to us is that the Eskom is not necessarily being privatized. And why am I saying that? Because if you look at the private sector, or I don't know whether the P public partnership, whether that also is part of the the efficiency, bringing efficiencies and maximizing on profits. But I think the part of justification, how do you then accommodate those who would not necessarily be affording that level of pricing? And I'm not saying because Eskom definitely is pushing towards those levels of privatization per se, but it kind of limits how the broader public is able to afford such electricity. So it may, at the end of the day, and maybe NERSA will be looking at that aspect to say which groups of the public are we going to sell the electricity for what price. Maybe it can be done in that way, but also it becomes a little bit unfair. I mean,
who subsidizes?
It's not a justifiable thing, but again, the way is
features there.
Somewhere
justice or what?
But also I'll just touch on what Debs had touched on, mainly on the cost vendors, because they do have an impact on, because it's actually lost revenue.
Exactly.
Lost revenue. Because it's unrealized. There is
on the municipalities, or
there is consumption,
even on Eskom.
On generation. Okay,
there is consumption, but there's no revenue coming out of it. And just on also what you touched on, because I think also what is not being said enough is there is some room in terms of the free basic electricity.
Yes.
And I think I've also read some article when they were talking about that the challenge is not that the free basic electricity is the access to, because it's mainly for indigent households. So the challenge, particularly at the municipality level, is that the registration process for indigent households, which is either very cumbersome or just not efficient enough to reach the right targets for them to benefit. So meaning that government tries as much to buffer the poorest of the poor, but because of the system inefficiencies, you get such issues that even the most basic household doesn't get to benefit from the free basic electricity. Therefore, they are subjected to the same tariff
as everybody
else. You see. So that's the problem, because, and I think what you mentioned, Debs, also with the cost vendors, is just hot on the topic. Eskom was migrating from KNR 1 to 2 for the tokens. So what they found there, some 2 million plus households were kind of the missing middle because they were not coming forth. Meaning that
for many reasons, right?
Yeah, for some reasons maybe
but
justifiable. Yeah. You see, so you see the challenge now.
Yeah.
Now we have those households where it's either faulty meters, or bridging. And I think even Eskom touched on it that what they found with many of these households is that within the past 6 months they wouldn't have bought electricity.
Sure.
But the case may be that not that they didn't buy electricity, but they didn't buy from the authorized vendors. So meaning there's someone there who's getting money without doing the work. Doing the work. You see, so those are just some of the factors that really negatively influence the utility in terms of sustainability.
Yeah, true.
So come the time when they have to send in an application to NERSA for a review of the tariff, those are some of the factors that might drive the price increase.
No, that's true.
Without venturing into the other stuff. I don't want to be accused of
infrastructures. But you see, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, if you are selling something, you produce, you expect the same revenue in return, right? But now, isn't it the question that, especially with the municipalities and Eskom, they sell electricity to municipalities, but it looks like they are unable to recover the monies. So
from the municipalities.
From the municipalities. So is it an issue of a calculation that is gone missing there? Because I understand that some municipalities actually estimate. Like they don't actually go to the meter and read the meter. They can actually estimate that house can pay this much.
I can give you a practical example with myself of a situation where I think I've shared this with you guys where I had issues with my electricity connections, and for some time I wasn't receiving the necessary services. But when you read my statements, I'm being charged for electricity based on the general consumption of the area. So the issue of the efficiencies of the municipalities that we are dealing with currently, I don't think it's just an issue of the inability to recoup the monies. Yes, there are those population groups who are, hit hard in the pocket, and I'm not justifying anything that they do, but not necessarily paying for the electricity. But when we look at historically how municipalities have been using, the revenues that they're getting, are we, do we, maybe let me open it up to you guys. Do we have confidence that our municipalities are actually running the financial systems as they should? And therefore,
we're not going to go into the GNU.
No, we're not doing it, but
to the GNU.
No, I never said
Let us take
it's a light.
No, you're right. I hear what you're
this
saying.
one.
You're right.
Soweto is a case in point.
Yes.
A couple of guys there, when I spoke to them, just general talk, all they will tell you, someone came and said, you won't pay for electricity. Then they've never paid for electricity.
Is it that group that...
that Ntandalax group.
I don't know who it is, but generally, sometimes these things happen. Someone out there who has influence promises people this.
Probably not for votes. We don't know.
Something like that. But also, I think again, what we would find in municipalities, it's not the inefficiencies in the collection. The municipalities do collect the money, but it doesn't go back to pay Eskom. Its services, its operations.
So there's other things in between.
Yes. So meaning Eskom is the last priority. You see. So I think even our municipality, the city of Tshwane, just recently they signed an agreement with Eskom of some 6 billion plus. That is a debt that has to be serviced.
But it's interesting. You can't get to even 100,000 with the bank. Not telling you, pay us. You get what I'm saying? But here you have a situation where money can go to billions. And we are still fine.
We are still fine.
Don't worry, you'll pay me. No, I don't know if it's a point of acceptance or point of not necessarily confidence. I think we like this word contingent. That no, don't worry, you'll pay it
At some point.
at some point. So don't worry, you can do your thing. You know. So, but it becomes slightly I don't know. It's unrealistic to get to 6 billion, and nothing is said about it, and actually it accumulates.
Yeah, and sorry, just to cut you off, it's
Yeah.
a very interesting thing you're raising. Even as a company or as an entity,
Yeah.
if you have people that owe you 6 billion,
Hey.
how are you keeping your own lights on?
That's what I'm
How
saying.
are you operating?
That, please call me, guy. His money.
It's gotta do with
He's keeping the phone on.
that the whole year round.
Yeah.
You know, be
The
holding
whole
money
year
like this. Yeah.
But I have an interesting question for you guys to ask. It's a bit of a social question,
Sure.
perhaps a philosophical one as well.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the fact that, given all balance of forces, that ESCOM needs to operate,
Yeah.
municipalities need to recoup their money to be functional, also to be able to maintain the infrastructure that they need,
Yeah.
and also looking at the realities that our people find themselves actually faced with. When you are looking at it from a viewpoint of what government needs to do, also looking at the provision of energy as a basic human right, I would assume.
Yeah.
What would you prioritize if you were to run a campaign to
Yeah.
do such?
You
And
know-
maybe the answers that you are giving are actually giving the
Yeah.
answers to the problem.
Of course, and I don't have all the answers, but
Yeah.
I think maybe what's workable is making sure that we have a situation that sort of makes everybody happy. If we reach that point of balance where everybody's happy, I think that's where, for me, the solution lies. One, if you have a situation where, let's say, like we were saying, the groups that are really in need of electricity, those needs to be prioritized in terms of free basic electricity. But two, because we know we've got solutions around the solar systems, home systems. So I think the government is already putting money into the solar home systems, and I think that's where the focus should be, to get them to have access to lights, to have access to warm water. I don't know about access to water, which is still another challenge, by the way. And then two, at least is to get those major companies feed off from ESCOM, be the main servicer or the one who services mainly these big companies. And ESCOM, of course, they've got big power plants, and then they can generate electricity 24/7. I think that's where their energies should lie, actually. Coal, nuclear, hydro, whatever, gas, oil, everything else. And then I think the other portion was speaking to, I think, the municipalities, right? The municipalities, I think, if you look at, and perhaps maybe it's just a general assumption, you look at where the AG has put municipalities when it comes to audits, I think it does reflect some challenges in there. Probably also these challenges, they also impact on how the finances are being managed. And if maybe those areas can be fixed, then we will start seeing improvements in collections. And also, but I think the issue of costing, I think it's a very important aspect. Maybe they need to have costing that is more reasonable. I don't know how their costing is based, and like we were saying now, they can just estimate. But now, what is the best estimate? How do they get to that? I think they need to look at that. And then the last thing I thought maybe I can also add is the issue around maintenance. I think municipalities, they also own electricity infrastructure in municipalities, right? So if they don't maintain those and monitor them in a way, so that there are no illegal connections, I think we can start seeing some improvements and putting penalties where things are being where rules are being broken. Let's say there's breaches and whatnot. So I think those kind of things will actually work. I see there's regulations for spaza shops. Maybe there must be regulations for illegal connections. So I don't know. It's good about your view, man.
No, I think it's appropriate, but I think just to take it back in terms of how particularly from a regulatory point of view, the tariff methodology, how it's being undertaken,
Yeah.
there is a certainty in terms of the regulatory aspects. So there is a framework under which ESCOM operates.
Yes.
And I think within that 36% so that is being talked about, it's just the most recent application.
Yes,
Because I
yes.
think the approach or the methodology, it's a cost-reflective tariff.
Yeah.
Which in essence you demonstrate this is how much it costs for me for supply to distribute. So you see, so now then the argument can be, if I'm coming up with a number that says I need 30% over the 3-year period, and I'm demonstrating that this is what it costs me to supply, then I'm not being unreasonable.
To an extent.
To an extent,
Yeah.
I'm not being unreasonable.
Sure.
Just without considering any other external
Yes.
factors that
Yes.
may influence my operations.
Yes.
You see,
Yeah.
but because citizens, we are feeling a financial crunch, and you don't have that extra money. You see, so the default is that it's unreasonable.
Sure.
That is the approach.
Yeah, true
Because I
story.
think the current assessment is on the multi-year price determination, which is what ESCOM follows uses in terms of the calculation
Estimates.
of the tariff.
Yes.
But for municipalities, it's different for me how I view it, because municipalities sometimes or most of the times you find that their tariffs are higher even than what you would get from
ESCOM.
ESCOM.
Yeah, true.
Because they also factor in
Their operations.
Even to
For
maintain
distribution
their own infrastructure there for distribution.
Yeah.
But the difference with municipalities is that when they do the collection, they can decide not to transfer the money to ESCOM as the main supply. Then that becomes a challenge, because now how do you ensure that the utility is sustainable? If you would have municipalities owing some billions to ESCOM. At the same time, municipalities, when they do their price increase, some of them, they don't even do the feasibility studies or the cost of supply studies that are required by the regulations, which is a challenge on its own. In that way. But I think also there should be more emphasis on trying to cover the indigent households. So I think if it's not ESCOM, but I think it's mainly for municipalities, because those are the implementers. Those are the ones who know which households consume how much electricity per month. They know based on their payments, their rates and taxes. So they are the ones who are accessible to people. They must intensify these campaigns to ensure that those allocations for the free basic electricity, they do reach those households.
True.
Then it becomes, it's a very interesting take on it. It becomes somewhat of a wicked problem if you were to define it. Because if I'm thinking about, what the stance or the justification is for ESCOM to do the unbundling issue, is to exactly deal with the issues that you're talking about, to say ESCOM has too much debt, therefore let's unbundle this utility to try and make it a viable thing. But even if you, taking from what you say, even if you unbundle ESCOM to try and have it operate on a lighter sort of debt sort of undertaking, how would then the fixing of ESCOM actually deal with the very important social issue that you're raising of the municipality? So for me, it's a multifaceted type of...
It is.
Because if you have ESCOM operating optimally, and their methodologies for determining tariff increases is not malicious, to say the least, but you still have this other leg of the municipality that needs to do what they need to do to make sure that revenues collected are then payable to ESCOM, and that's not happening at that level as well. It comes. It's a neither here nor there type of
It's really a complex one.
But also, what I found interesting, because of how the electricity supply or distribution regime is changing, municipalities can source their own
generation up to a certain level,
capacity.
Yeah.
So what I found interesting is some municipalities who are currently owing ESCOM, they are making preparations to have their own generation supply.
Yeah.
So what does that talk to the debt then?
So
it means they will consume less and they're able to. Maybe that's
so
the idea.
I'm just curious that now is it that they don't want to pay ESCOM?
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe not. I think they are kind of saying, okay, we need to. Let's say the issues are, and I don't know. You see, I think lately we talk about load reduction, which is about how the energy that gets to the people is kind of limited because of infrastructure,
high consumption.
Yes. So now, if you bring in your own generation, you are able to relieve ESCOM of the burden in terms of the supply that it needs to reach out. At the same time, you want to, let's say, improve business-wise in general, so that you're able to pay back to ESCOM. I don't know. And to be honest, the monies that are being owed, I think it's quite a lot. Most of the municipalities that we know, I don't know whether they are as economic hubs like you have Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban. Some of the municipalities really there's no economies there, and they owe so much money. So the question is, how are you going to then look at those kind of municipalities? Are you going to write off the debt, or what sort of solutions are you going to put to those?
Yeah, it's a very interesting one, because when you look at it in terms of debt write-offs, it happens in a roundabout way, because whether you like it or not, ESCOM as a utility gets bailouts since forever.
Yeah. They've been getting bailouts.
Yes. Now the question becomes, if you can get bailouts as ESCOM for those indigent households, what's the difficulty in writing their debt off?
Yes. Actually, even municipalities themselves.
Yes,
because
so what's the challenge? What piece of the puzzle are we not seeing?
It's mnige.
But maybe some of the viewers have more information.
No, of course.
They can provide their own inputs in terms of these things. But I think it's a very interesting conversation that we are having here. It touches on the pocket.
It's about the pocket. You know what I mean? It's about the pocket. But I think in general, we seem to come to this kind of an overall view that it's important to consider the houses that need electricity, particularly those who are indigent. I think that's where energy is needed, so that there is the justice part of the energy as we move forward. That will be a special topic, of course. But I think it's very critical that we are able to make sure that everybody is accommodated in the energy. In as much as we are increasing the energy prices, I think we need to have a kind of even if it's a scale kind of approach of sliding scale or whatever, graded or whatever. That for me, I think will actually work. And two, I think we need to at least make sure that the infrastructure is improved.
Yes.
That itself, if we modernize the infrastructure, I think it will do away with a lot of those connections that are not fair. So in a way, at least everybody is able to contribute, or rather to benefit as they pay. Pay as you go. When you phone with Vodacom, you have to put in the airtime wherever you buy it. Sometimes it's R5, but you buy it with 550.
But other network.
Yes. Sorry.
That's free sponsorship.
By the way.
Not sponsorship. What is it? Marketing.
Yeah. You see. So I think it's key for that to happen. By the way, we forgot to mention that at the back we've got a nice banner here. It's a very important. We also giving airtime to the very important department here, Department of Electricity and Energy, by the way. and they deal with these metals of electricity. Electrons moving in the wire through the wire.
It's the one.
Yeah, something like that.
Why are
Anyway.
you crying now?
No, I'm trying to vocalize this
Oh, I
thing.
thought you were crying.
No,
It's a
right
singing.
to the wire.
Maybe he bought electricity in the
Yeah,
morning.
at a very high price. That's a good one.
He's still shocked.
That's a good one.
Yeah, you know, electricity can shock, literally and figuratively.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely.
So yeah, and one thing we don't want is a situation where electricity it becomes a hard to access kind of a commodity. It almost becomes a basic right,
It
a
is
modern
to-
basic right.
To
You know,
me, it actually is when you consider the fact that, and I know we keep going back to the indigent households, but this can happen in any household for that matter. There are people who depend on this electricity for maybe ailments that they are going under. Maybe people are on oxygen tanks for whatever reason.
Yes.
Are we going to say those that can afford electricity are the ones whose lifespans are going to be prolonged because of the access to the machineries that they? So for me, it's not a one-dimensional view, a money-only based view. It's a social issue,
No,
But at
definitely.
the end of the day, obviously somebody needs to pay for it. The only way is the how part. It's the how part.
Yeah.
So even the wind agrees with me.
Yeah, it's the wind. By the way, there's wind in it.
Wind in it.
Yeah. You
That's
must,
what we're seeing
you
here.
must be harvesting
In
this
action.
week.
We must harvest it. Yeah, we must harvest it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's a very important topic that I think should be something that every household is open with regards to the understanding thereof, because we also have the very bad reality of child-headed households in this country. So, in that situation, it's
a
really
sad
bad.
situation.
Yeah. So
So now, tell me, if we were to vote now, you and NERSA, the decision makers now, are sitting on the table with this problem of 36%. And these guys are telling you, that plan there, if you don't pay us this man, you must forget.
Going.
Going. So what do you do as NERSA? Do you give them, you say, you are playing, we'll give you 50%. Or you go like, okay, I give you what you want. Or you go like, nah, this thing of 30% is not right. It's in the education here also. No. Or what do? You say, okay, fine. Maybe a reasonable markup will be something like 15%, which may not be reasonable or realistic for ESCOM to get to that position of cost reflectiveness. So I don't know, what would you do?
Yeah, it's. I don't wish to be NERSA currently.
Yeah.
Because
You'll be in the history of electricity.
yeah. I don't wish to be NERSA currently, because I think I've followed some of the public participation processes that they are currently undergoing. And by the way, I think anyone who has some views can participate there, because it's a public participation.
Are they closed, by the way, or they're still open?
They are still open.
That's great.
I think just recently they were doing it here in Gauteng.
Wow.
So yeah.
Actually, we should talk in the next one of the episodes. We should talk about what the public's views have been. What were the main things that we thought
That's
were
good.
of
Some thematic areas of concerns, maybe.
exactly.
But I'm sure most will be blaming the utility.
Of course.
They designed this problem for themselves.
There's always that aspect that you make the problem,
then you come and want to be assisted,
and we don't think that's the case.
No, it's the public, it's not us.
It's not us.
It's the public,
and I'm not even sure if it's the whole public, but maybe others,
just
the public,
those one too. But the interesting thing about the public is like anyone who has an opinion can be considered. It can be
a public member.
A public view.
Yes.
But it's only one or two people.
But you are speaking for the public.
So, but you know,
the public said.
The public said yes. Yeah. So it's an interesting one.
There should be some sampling, and there should be an agreement as to what portion actually.
One is too many.
Yes.
One is too many. Therefore.
Yeah. No, but I think also because we understand it, even with the ongoing public participation, is because the framework itself ensures that because this directly affects the public.
You
need to consider their views. So even if I'm a community of one person, I need to be considered.
It's fine.
Because when NERSA makes that decision, I will be paying for electricity.
Of course.
Yes.
So whatever views I have
must be accounted for.
They must be, considered.
True.
Not that they have to be accepted, but they must be considered. Because as you know, we are a country that is generally now moving to be run using legal instruments.
I thought you were saying autopilot.
Yeah. No, if you
we are running ourselves.
Yeah, no.
We're not.
There's that song of Beyonce, "Who Rules the Girl?" Who rules the world? Who runs the world?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So you see, the moment chance that NERSA has to have now is through the balance of probabilities now in terms of because it is a framework, a legislated framework of the multi-year price determination. Like it or not, they have to follow that aspect.
True.
But now we also have to balance with our current economic climate
and the public views. Now, with that, I think this one hasn't answered the question.
And
I think the answer he's saying the answer.
That's what I'm saying.
What he's saying,
it's tough to be NERSA.
Are you giving them the money?
I think what he's saying is giving them 36%.
That's what I'm heading actually. That me if I was NERSA, I would be giving them that 36%. Because I think for me, how I view it is when you are trying to squeeze the utility, ultimately everyone suffers.
True. So Sbuso says 36%. And in terms of what's your verdict?
It's a very tough one when we also consider the fact that this 36% needs to come from somewhere. But I also understand what Eskom is trying to do. They're not trying to always go back to the National Treasury for bailouts, and in a way that in the long run assists the very people that we're trying to say should be afforded, a fair chance at affording the electricity. I think I'll take the view of the Minister of Finances that we've been blessed with, that normally says we must tighten the belt for now for an easy ride in the future. So when you're looking at it from a long-term point of view, it's a scientifically sound idea business-wise to try and get the utility going as much as we should, taking into account the fact that there could be also some mismanagement of the funds. We never know. But
from municipality side.
Yes, the reality is that hike is needed, but also the considerations that you've given in terms of those breaks that should be given to the population groups that cannot necessarily afford should be strongly considered. So I think I would go with Scuda as well and say give them the money if it means in future you can alleviate. Otherwise we in the same cycle. Perpetually, and it doesn't help anyone.
It's a tough one.
It's very tough.
It's a tough one. I actually don't know. I was more amenable to say 15% because they actually put it the other way around, and perhaps I can understand. Maybe they want to intensify maintenance of power plants and build or whatever. But to up it like that, 36 and then 13, 11 or 11, 13, it's fine. I think you start higher and then you go down, and then it becomes much easier. People will already be used to that increase. Perhaps. But when you negotiate, even in Lobol, you go up and then they say, no, somewhere they know where they are targeting.
Find a sweet spot somewhere.
So,
maybe it's that.
I think it's actually that. So you'd find that actually the reasonable percentage, and I don't know, we need wind farms even in Gauteng. It's climate change, by the way. We're changing this thing.
This is all energy.
We're changing this planet.
But for me, what's interesting, Kobe, when you look at the numbers in terms of household expenditure, 96 versus now. An average household in 96 could probably spend what, 600-700 rand per month on electricity. Now it's what? How much do you pay?
Me, I'm a bachelor.
But an average household
It
get paid close to 3K.
It's less for me. It's less than 1,000 I pay, but
but it's still
a lot.
It's still a lot.
It's still a lot.
When you look at where things come from, of course, notwithstanding the time value of money as well, but it's a lot.
But here's the other flip side of it, and maybe if there's always unintended situations where, for example, let's say we consider the less affording houses and we give them a certain electricity that is free. Now you have a different kind of a situation recently of development that does not necessarily, I don't know whether it follows municipal planning or what. And then 2 minutes down the line is like, hey, you must give us electricity. Now you are, I don't know whether it's a legal obligation or a constitutional right. They have to provide those
right to services
areas with the right to for service. And usually they have to install electricity. And you'll find that in percentage wise, you find more of these houses connected and actually spending more on those houses than on houses that are actually contributing to payments.
And somebody at some point pays for that. So the middle class, through your taxes, you are the ones that actually feel the brunt. I think you've brought a very interesting dimension to it. I consider, those land grabs and land, I would say invasions, because they go against perhaps the spatial planning sort of frameworks of whatever municipality, as an indictment on the system as well, because now you have a population that has migrated from somewhere through means that are not, really legal. You did not plan for these people infrastructure-wise. But now you have to, because of their constitutional right as well for access to rights to services, now you have to find that money from somewhere. And these people don't necessarily have to, they fall within the category that's now termed the zero bias. That's a very...
It's a tricky one.
It's
a tricky one.
But also, I think what is interesting also for
I can't
me
live
is
this life that I'm living.
because what you find is especially some places where they don't normally pay for electricity, they come up with a proposal that let each household pay 100 rand.
Okay.
So it's like you are paying 100 rand for unlimited supply. Something like that. But now the question is, because you are using more than what you are paying for, who's paying for that? You see, it's always an interesting one, and I think particularly for informal settlements, because again, if you do not get those people in the system, they will use the electricity regardless. So it's either you tighten up on making sure that they do not tap into your infrastructure, or you get them in the system and you get whatever they can afford to pay. Because at the end of the day, you are losing revenue. Which would otherwise, because for me, how I always view it, yes, we don't encourage these land grabs and informal settlements, but there is a social problem of housing that you find that people want to be close to where they work.
True.
And land is unaffordable, especially in the economic hubs. So meaning there is a social problem of housing.
Yeah.
People want to be close to where they work.
Yeah.
When they get there, there's no services. I see some transmission
Nice.
infrastructure
plenty
moving.
there.
I see a transformer nearby.
Yes.
And the interesting part, by the way, these guys, you find that they even have their own transformers.
Yes. They go put one there.
So they
Connect it.
have their own distribution system that they establish, just piggybacking on what's already existing there. But you may find that there is a will to pay
Yeah.
if you get them into the system. So perhaps it's just one of those things that could be explored, where in informal settlements you get these people into the system, you get them registered, because like it or not, the municipalities have to service them either way.
Yeah.
Either way.
Oh, that's true.
Especially based on tenure.
Yeah.
In that area.
No, for sure.
I think also many of these new developments have really turned out to fully fledged communities.
Proper houses.
Now
there.
there's
1
proper
meter
houses.
house there.
Now there's a very big double-story houses there.
No storm water system, nothing.
Yeah,
Just a
nothing,
nice
but
house there.
there's a house there. That person has a view of everything.
Everything on the mountain there.
On the mountain, you see. So you
They-
see, if someone can build such a house, they can probably pay for electricity.
Yeah.
You see. So for me, I think also, because I always say again that it's better to get that 100 rand than
nothing at
to
all.
get nothing
And to have an infrastructure that is being destroyed at the same
at
time.
the same time.
Yeah.
You see.
No, you're right.
And
Absolutely right.
just on that other issue of the access, especially for indigent households,
Yeah.
you might find that for you, if you are able to reach those households, those indigent households, you are minimizing them,
Yeah.
bridging the meters and everything,
Yeah.
by way of giving them
That
that even if it's 50 kilowatt hour
Yeah.
of electricity, you might find that they use way less than 50 kilowatt of
Yes.
electricity per month.
Because it's just basic things.
Because it's just basic.
Yes.
But now, when they bridge and it's unlimited, they will cook muhodu all day, every day.
Because of the knowledge
Yeah.
that
That
this
is-
thing is unending.
Yeah.
Yes. So at least if they know that they have a cap of 50 units, beyond that they have to pay for themselves. You know, they can be sparingly when they use electricity.
Yeah.
So I think for me, those small pockets of issues that link to the broader issue of getting an affordable tariff.
Yeah.
If you deal with those, even with municipalities, at some point, I think even government has to step in there, because you it's not right that someone collects money but they do not send it through. And should the utility decide to cut off that municipality, it's not the people who are sitting in offices in the municipalities who are affected. It's the people, it's the communities who you might find are paying.
Yes, true.
So you see, now you cannot punish the collective.
No.
So you see all those dynamics. If we can get those dynamics right, I think we might just turn a leaf on this issue.
Yeah. So I think that's a possible solution that you're giving there also. So maybe as a kind of a wrap up on it. So we agree that electricity hikes or increases are needed for ESCOM, and possibly maybe it can be negotiated reasonably. We don't know, but possibly. However, I think it is needed for critical areas such as infrastructure. It's needed as towards moving towards a cost-reflective tariffs, and also to ensure that at least there's energy access to even indigent or households that may not necessarily be able to afford it. But also overall, I think this increase, or this reasonable increase after NERSA has looked at it, will give us at least a leeway to improve our energy infrastructure as in totality, and we should have I think more access to electricity through even an issue of clean energy. I think is another topic, by the way. But at least there will be energy access. There will not be any issues around load reduction or whatever, and also the issue of load shedding will not see a possibility even going forward in anyhow. That does not mean these things may not happen, but at least we'll be in a path that kind of limits those kind of risks of getting to those situations. So I think South Africa is in a bright spot. The economy will also get into a right path with energy being in a good state, our energy framework, energy sector rather. So that will also assist the economy. It will also impact on other areas, such that our country grows. And of course, sometimes I have a problem when we say we should look at how a country is doing based on economic performance, but currently is still the main indicator, and maybe we can talk about that some other time. So we agree with what Eskom has proposed, kind of, and we hope that they will receive some favorable outcome. And we also hope that with whatever that is happening, even at the, let's say, government level, this problem will receive the necessary attention, such that we are able to, at the end of the day, cater for the masses to ultimately reach the goal of energy justice. I think that's a good way to wrap it up. Yeah. No, thanks a lot. I think it's been a good one. However, I think it's been a while, but I must say. But anyways, I think we'll talk more about other interesting topics. It's just that we're missing one seat of pain.
Start recruiting again.
We need one member here to join us.
Yes, please.
Please, if you have any ideas, please.
Yeah, too much testosterone.
No, it's a choir here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So any other thing that we'd like to talk about, maybe? I think, by the way, wow. Mayday, there's too much wind. Oh, by the way, there's another point, is that please make sure you fill up your cars. It's holiday time. Not electricity. We don't have electric cars. Ne? We still have petrol cars. Put the juice in your cars. Not energy drink. Petrol 95, diesel. The prices are out. Check the Department of Energy website. To check the prices for petrol and diesel and paraffin. The prices have gone up, but they're quite reasonable. And make sure you fill up your car. As you fill it up, you'll make sure at least you save up. If you put 100 like me, then you won't see any difference.
What wheelbarrow is that?
Yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah. Everybody, Buddha, Tibza, I think we out. Ne?
Yeah, no.
Peace out. Yeah. Energy.
Energy is low.
Yeah, the energy is low.
Energy ain't gonna be bad. You doing the most. Minerals for the nation. I'm not sure what I have. Ain't gonna be fair. I be doing this, don't play me. Sacrificing for the money they do.
Someone get energy. Vulnerable to the technology, society, public. I want you to learn that this energy ain't gonna be fair. Vulnerable chemical energy, podcast, Hellacast. Yeah, how's this Hellacast energy? My K shit everywhere, townhouses.